What's going on there, YouTube? This is SEO0320 representing JVS. So I'm back here for the last and the fifth JVS exclusive Halloween reviews. Unanimously, at least 3 different people have already stated that Halloween is the one that I should watch, the original one. Now, I'm gonna be very frank with y'all, to be honest. Like, I looked at everything except for the first one. Like, I've looked at all of them. I've only seen glimpses and pieces of the first one. I've even seen the Rob Zombies, the first one and the second one. To be quite frank, I actually really enjoyed the first Rob Zombie Halloween. I wish that the second one would have capitalized a lot better, especially with the mythos and given what I've seen tonight. Now, what I'll say about this movie is that I think that this started the trend of the mode of scary movies. Now, I know that there was Nightmare on Elm Street. I know there was Friday the 13th. Those were kind of slasher films, gore fest. Halloween in and of itself was not a slasher movie, nor was it shown in any of the action sequences that happened. Like, most of the action sequence, even from the first kill, is kind of like implied stabbing when Michael Myers, spoiler alert, kills his sister. Like, when he's a little kid. The shot itself, looking through when he put the mask on, I thought that was brilliant. I thought that was excellently executed. But the thing that I thought is that, man, this is what started all these kind of ways of this cliche of how not only when you're vulnerable or like going into sexual act or work with stuff. I think Cabin in the Woods did it best, where they showed like this is how you deal with a scary filled movie. Like basically this was one of the starts of that, because it wasn't a slasher, but it tried to be really scary. And I think probably for back then it probably would have been a lot more scary, a lot more suspenseful. That's not downgrading anybody's role or their acting ability in this movie, but it is just not my cup of tea, to be quite honest with y'all. To me, it wasn't really scary. I think that if I would have seen a little bit more gore, I think it would have been a little bit more scary for me or more tense. But it was like a lot of the situations that kind of came up between Laurie's friends, where they were just kind of being really blatantly stupid. Like, even with Laurie, to be quite honest with you, when she first saw somebody kind of like popping up, I think that over time, well, I don't know how it was back in the 70s. That's the problem. I didn't come from the era, I came from the 80s. So if it was me, then I would have probably went to the authorities like, look, okay, somebody is walking around with a mask already, and like, I'm not easy about it. Like, please, you know, somebody do something about it. And then there's a blip comes up. Maybe the doctor, the doctor himself, would have maybe sent out a report so that people would be on the alert. He did not. He didn't want to cause mass panic. I understand that. Thus, you have the movie. But a lot of this stuff could have been really avoided. But then, more than anything, like when the action sequences did happen, like they were really kind of like, I don't know, just really cheesy in a certain sense. I think that one of the ones that I did like, when the dog was kind of barking behind Laurie's friend, I think her name is Linda, and then like she runs out there, and then like she totally is oblivious of it. The dog's just kind of like propped up, like, and I was like, okay, that looks really scary. Like, somebody even like would do that, you know? What are they really capable of mentally and emotionally? But more than anything, I feel like they could have went so much more deeper with the psychological profile. Like, why is it that he's doing this? Like, why is it he's so strong? Like, don't just paint the picture from your doctor. Even though, like, his presentation, when he's talking to the sheriff and they're waiting at the house, like, God knows how long, just waiting at the house, which they could have been doing something more. That sequence and the way he described it, it was perfectly depicted, especially if you look at the rest of the movies. But the problem is, for this being the opening movie, it was like, it kind of left me kind of lackluster in different ways. But let's talk about Jamie Lee Curtis. Like, how did she act? I didn't know, to be quite honest with y'all, that Jamie Lee Curtis was the descendant of 2 major actors, like Tony Curtis. I think I knew about that, but I didn't know that Janet Leigh, that was from the first like Psycho movies, like that was her mom. Like, that's so freaking crazy. But she did a great job. I mean, like, her character was likable. It was really interesting. Like, if any of y'all look at the show Scream Queens, which I'm debating, like, actually reviewing, it's kind of along the same lines of the character Grace, basically. I mean, it's basically the same exact lines, because you want to like her, but she's kind of weird, she's kind of different, but you know she's going to be kind of the hero of the story, but then, you know, she got something secret going on. And that's kind of like Laurie's character in the nutshell, but it was like the way she had to defend herself, she did a really good job defending herself. I mean, like all things considered, like she stabbed him in the eye, she stabbed him in the chest, stabbed him in the neck. Like, I mean, what can you do? And he just wouldn't go down. I mean, the thing about it is it just goes border on the unbelievable, because I have no, if I would have this, I'm judging this movie and reviewing this movie as though I haven't seen the rest of it. If I looked at the rest of them, I would say that this trumps H2O. This probably trumps, gosh knows, Resurrection. It trumps 6, 5, but then 3 and 2 is actually pretty decent. So, I mean, I don't know. But I'm trying to review this as if this was my first time watching this. And that's the reason why, if I was back then watching this, I'd be like, oh wow, that was kind of scary and that was kind of different. But at the same exact time, like, why is he so strong? Why is he this way, you know? But I mean, like I said, that's the reason for sequels. But the Rob Zombie movie, one of the things I liked about it, it told you up front, like, what's going on. What is this dude's mental state? How he's capable of doing the things he's doing. Because there was one point, like, Michael, like, he had this dude up in the air with his arm, and he just kept him there. I thought that was a tight sequence. And then, especially, like, stabbing him through the chest, like, that's classic. But then he had this girl in the car, and he was just kind of choking out, and, like, I don't know if it was her performance or what, it just looked really cheesy. But like I said, people are going to probably knock me for this. I apologize ahead of time. I know this is a classic for many people. It's technically still a classic for me because it started this whole entire genre in and of itself. But I don't know. I just didn't, it wasn't my cup of tea. For what it is, I give it a 7 out of 10. But as far as if I had looked at this and seen the rest of them going back, then I at least give it an 8 or 8.5 out of 10, considering all the rest of them. But if this was my first time watching it, I'd probably have to give it like a 7 out of 10. It didn't really scare me. I was kind of like underwhelmed more than anything. But I just want to let y'all know, I don't want to end this on a sour note. I will let y'all know I have got a ton of videos that are coming out today, as well as I'm definitely going to be reviewing The Walking Dead tonight. So stay locked, stay tuned for that. And yeah. What else? Oh, yeah, just to finish off, I wish y'all would have, my top 5 would have been Ernest Scared Stupid, The Descent, Sleepy Hollow, Nightmare Before Christmas, and then it'd be a toss-up between The Conjuring, probably Conjuring. I would have said Hocus Pocus, but probably The Conjuring. But y'all gave some really good suggestions. I really appreciate all y'all for y'all's input and getting into this. And hopefully, like, next year, I'll have something even cooler in store for y'all, as well as me and Joe. So thanks everybody for watching. This is SEL0320 representing JVS. Thanks everybody for watching. Stay tuned for Walking Dead tonight because it's going to be a doozy. 90 minutes long. Stay tuned.